Imagine giving everything to someone, your time, your money, your love, only for them to betray you, cheat on you, and rob you blind. That happened to me, but instead of crying forever about losing £5,000, I found a way to make a tiny payment of just $8.50, and it ended up destroying my ex's entire life. If you've ever dreamed of watching karma serve someone who thought they could get away with everything, hit that like button, subscribe, and get ready, because this is one of the most satisfying revenge stories you'll ever hear. I met him at university. At first, he was the kind of guy every girl wished she could date. Charming but not arrogant, attentive without being overbearing, smart, ambitious, funny. And honestly, he made me feel seen. When we first started dating, he was full of energy and drive. He'd talk about his big plans, his career ambitions, the businesses he wanted to start. He was dedicated to his studies. And when he wasn't buried in books, he was working part-time and still finding ways to surprise me, bringing me little gifts, cooking for me, making me laugh until my stomach hurt. I thought I'd found the one, but little by little, the mask started to slip. At first, it was small things. He skipped a class or two. No big deal, right? We all need breaks sometimes. But then he skipped more classes, and then all classes. I'd come home from long hours at work, balancing shifts with studying, and he'd be there. Not studying, not working, not even cleaning, just sitting in front of the Xbox, controller in hand, eyes glazed over, dishes piled up, laundry sat in a sad, smelly mountain. He stopped helping around the house altogether, and then came the day he got fired. Too many no-shows at work. I remember the phone call. His boss didn't even sound surprised. Suddenly, everything fell on me. I was studying full-time, working extra shifts just to keep us afloat, while he sat home, glued to message, boards and video games. This wasn't a temporary slump. This was who he really was. Still, I stayed. Why? Because I kept hoping the guy I fell in love with was still in there, somewhere. That maybe it was exam stress, or depression, or just a bad patch. I kept telling myself, things will get better, but they didn't. Instead, things got worse. One night, after a long shift, I walked into our flat and immediately knew something was wrong. There was a jacket on the chair I didn't recognize, perfume, in the air that wasn't mine. And when I walked into the bedroom, there he was, with her. I can't even describe the feeling. My whole body went cold. My chest felt like it had collapsed in on itself. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stood there, numb. He tried to explain, stammering, begging, but I didn't hear it. I threw him out that night, and you'd think that would be the end, right? I'd cry, I'd heal, and life would move on. But no, because the real betrayal came the next day. I remembered the joint savings account. We had opened it to save up together. Vacations, emergencies, maybe even a future home. There had been just over $5,000 in it. Almost all of it my money. I logged in, praying it would still be there. It wasn't. The balance read, 0, by. He had cleaned it out. I sat there, staring at the screen, my hands trembling so badly I could barely type. My throat tightened. I wanted to scream, to smash something, to undo time itself. That money had been my safety net, my blood, sweat, and tears. From endless double shifts, sleepless nights, and exam stress. And now it was gone. I called the bank. They were sympathetic, but their answer was the same. He was an authorized account holder. Legally, he had every right to take the money. The police? Same story. It's a civil matter. Civil court, too. Expensive. and they told me the costs would probably outweigh what I'd recover. So, just like that, he had legally stolen $5,000 from me. And there was nothing I could do. I felt like a fool, a broken, humiliated fool. And then I saw his posts on his favorite forums. He was bragging about his new gaming consoles, his brand new TV, his shiny gadgets, all bought with my money. That was the moment the anger crystallized into something sharper, something darker, something that tasted like revenge. I had never in my life felt such a pure, burning need for justice. I wanted him to pay, and then I remembered something. Back in the summers, to help fund my studies, I used to temp at different jobs. One of them was for a debt collection agency. It was miserable work, but it paid well. And my ex, he had debts, old debts he'd bragged about dodging for years. He thought he was clever, outsmarting the system. He loved telling people how close he was to being safe, that his debts were just months away from being statute barred. What he didn't know was that one tiny detail could destroy him. A tiny payment, just £1, would reset the clock. 6 more years. And guess who had all his paperwork? His account numbers, his creditors, his addresses, me. I sat back, my tears finally drying, and felt something new rising in me. For the first time in months, maybe years. I smiled, because he thought he had beaten me. He thought he had walked away with everything. But I was about to take it all back. You may have stolen 5,000 solons from me, I whispered to myself, staring at the paperwork spread across my desk. But I'm going to spend less than a tenner to ruin your entire life. And that's when the real story begins. So there I was, with every piece of information I needed, and in my hands, I held the power to ruin him forever. All it would take was a single phone call, an $8.50, the sweetest $8.50 I would ever spend. I stared at the pile of documents in front of me. Letters from creditors, account numbers, overdue notices he had tossed aside like junk mail. To him, these were just reminders of a past he thought he had outrun. To me, they were a map leading straight to his downfall. See, during our relationship, I had taken over handling his adulting. Bills, paperwork, debt reminders. He conveniently left all of that to me. At the time, I thought I was being helpful, supportive, the good girlfriend. But now, that trust he gave me was about to become the very noose around his neck. I knew his secret. For years, he'd been dodging debt collectors, ignoring letters, bragging to me about how clever he was for never paying a penny. He'd sit on forums late at night, laughing about how close he was to being debt-free by default, since in the UK, debts become unenforceable after 6 years. He was just a few months away from freedom. But here's the thing, I also knew the loophole. If you make even the tiniest payment, even £1, that 6-year clock resets. Suddenly, it doesn't matter that you've been ignoring them for 5 years and 11 months. One payment means the countdown restarts from 0. And as I sat there, remembering the smug grin he wore whenever he told me how smart he was for avoiding responsibility, my hands clenched into fists. He thought he had beaten the system. But now, I was the system. The plan came together almost too easily. All I had to do was make a payment. Not as him, of course. I wasn't about to commit fraud. No, I'd call as myself, a friend helping him out. I wouldn't ask for any information. I wouldn't need to. They'd simply take the payment and log it. And just like that, the clock would start over. I dialed the first creditor. My heart pounded in my chest. And for a moment, I almost chickened out. Was this too petty? Was I stooping to his level? Then I pictured him with her, the woman I found in my bed. I pictured him laughing, spending my money on toys and games, while I was left with nothing. No, this wasn't petty. This was justice. "Hello," I said, steadying my voice. "I'd like to make a payment on behalf of X's name." They didn't ask questions. They didn't need to. I gave the account number from the paperwork, paid the minimum, just $1, and that was it. The system would do the rest. I hung up, my hands trembling. One down, one by one, I called the rest. Some had minimum payments of $1. One asked for $50. By the end of it, I had spent exactly $8.50. That's it, less than the cost of a takeaway. But I wasn't finished. I gave them his new address, and for good measure, his parents' address, too. The call center worker told me, politely, that they couldn't change the address since I wasn't the account holder. I just smiled. I knew they didn't need to change anything. Those systems had ways of flagging addresses, linking people, connecting dots. Eventually, his creditors would find him, and when they did, the fun would begin. Then came the waiting game. Weeks turned into months. At first, nothing seemed to happen. He was still posting online, bragging about his new life, his shiny new gaming PC, his gadgets, his side chick. Every post was a slap in the face, and yet, beneath the anger, there was a steady calm inside me now, because I knew the storm was coming. It was only a matter of time, and then finally, it started. One evening, scrolling through the very forum where he loved to boast, I saw a different kind of post. This one wasn't full of smug arrogance. It was full of panic. Does anyone know what happens if you get a letter about a court date for an old debt? He wrote. I swear, my heart skipped a beat. There it was, proof that the trap had sprung. I leaned back in my chair, grinning like a Cheshire cat. All those months of waiting, all that rage I had bottled up, finally paying off. He was in trouble. Real, serious trouble. A few days later, my phone buzzed. It was him. For the first time in months, he was calling me. I didn't answer. Not the first time, not the second, but on the third call, curiosity got the better of me. I wanted to hear the fear in his voice. When I picked up, he was frantic. Please, you've got to help me. I've got this court letter about some old debts. What do I do? You used to handle this stuff for me. For a moment, I just let the silence hang. I wanted him to feel the weight of it, the desperation. Finally, I said, cold and sharp, you stole from me, you cheated on me, and now you want my help. Go to hell. He begged. He actually begged, but I hung up. And when he realized I wouldn't save him, he did the next worst thing. He turned to his online friends for advice. I watched, amused, as one of them, clearly just as clueless as he was, told him the absolute worst thing you can do. Don't show up to court. If you're not there, they can't do anything. I nearly laughed out loud. That advice was not just wrong. It was catastrophic. In civil court, not showing up doesn't protect you. It practically hands them the win. And he was going to take it. The date of the hearing came and went. And true to form, my ex, smug, arrogant, reckless, didn't show up, which meant one thing. The court ruled against him, and that ruling gave the creditors power. Real, legal power. A few weeks later, the posts on his forums took a darker turn. Gone were the photos of his gadgets and toys. Instead, he posted pictures of his flat, emptied. The bailiffs had come. They had taken it all. His shiny gaming PC, his consoles, his TV, his gadgets. All gone. Everything he bought with my money. Seized. I could almost see him, standing in the middle of that stripped bare apartment, realizing everything he had stolen, everything he had bragged about, was gone. And the best part? this was only the beginning, because not only did he lose all his toys and gadgets, but the debt collectors weren't done yet. The court's ruling had scarred his credit forever, and soon, the life he thought he'd built was about to collapse completely. His side chick, his future, even his career, prospects, all about to vanish, all thanks to my $8.50. When the bailiffs left his flat, they didn't just take his shiny new gadgets, they took his pride. On the forums where he once bragged about his perfect life, his tone had shifted. Gone was the smug arrogance. Now it was all panic, anger, and despair. Does anyone know how to stop bailiffs from coming back? Can they really take everything? My credit report is ruined. What do I do? Every post was like music to my ears. But the best part? He still didn't understand. He thought this was just a temporary setback. He thought he could bluff his way out of it, charm his way out of it, or at worst, start over. He didn't know how deep the damage went, because along with losing his things, he now had several county court judgments, CCJs, against his name. And, in the UK, CCJs are like scars that never fully fade. They crush your credit, lock you out of loans, make landlords wary of renting to you, and even stop you from getting certain jobs, especially jobs in finance, business, or anything that requires trust. All those grand dreams he had, the business degree, the entrepreneur lifestyle, the big man persona he loved to project, gone. With a CJ, those doors slammed shut, and just like that, the man who stole my money and laughed about it was ruined. But karma wasn't finished with him yet, because remember the side chick? The one he cheated on me with, the one he moved in with using my money. She wasn't exactly thrilled to stick around once the bailiffs cleared out his flat. Gone was the flashy boyfriend with the new TV, the shiny gaming PC, the expensive gadgets. Now he was broke. Now he was drowning in debt. Now he had nothing, and she left him. Poetic, isn't it? She was there for the money and the fun. Once that disappeared, so did she. He lost me. He lost her. He lost his gadgets. And he lost his future. All because he thought he could steal from me and walk away untouched. I remember the day he called me again. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. His voice was hollow, desperate. "Please," he said. "I don't know what to do. I've lost everything. They've taken it all. I can't get a bank account. I can't rent anywhere decent. I can't even get interviews. Please, you're the only one who knows how this stuff works. Help me." For a moment, I just listened to the sound of his breathing, ragged and shaky, to the silence of a man who finally realized he wasn't invincible. And then, calmly, I said the words I'd been waiting months to say. "You should have thought about that before you cheated, before you stole from me. I don't owe you anything." And then I hung up. That was the last time I ever spoke to him. Did I ever get my 5,000 Saintlers back? No, not a penny. But you know what? I don't even care anymore, because I got something far more valuable. I got justice. I got to watch karma do what it does best. To see a man who thought he was untouchable, brought to his knees by nothing more than the truth and a tiny $8.50 payment. And to this day, when I think about it, I smile. Because while he lost everything, I got the one thing he could never take from me again: my power. Sometimes revenge doesn't mean getting your money back. Sometimes it means watching the person who hurt you lose everything they thought they stole from you. And honestly, that's worth far more than £5,000. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying act of revenge you've ever seen? Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this, because trust me, karma always finds a way.